Hey guys, good afternoon. I hope you're having a wonderful Friday. I do apologize that yesterday I was not able to come on at my normal time. I do want to dive right in and talk about this chapter because I am on a time crunch. You guys know I have two children and one of them just turned 4. The other one is turning 3 in a couple weeks, and tomorrow is going to be their birthday celebration. And until they can ask for separate birthday parties, everything is being tied in together at the midpoint for their birthdays. And I've got to go get their shirts and just start cleaning house and everything. So let me just take a deep breath, because I'm all over the place, and I want to talk about this with you because this chapter is talking about boundaries and yourself. And it's such a great topic because it is so easy for us to have boundaries for things with, oh, you're not going to do this to me. But when you have the boundary for yourself to do something for you, we have a lot of difficulties. So I'm going to dive right in. They do have very lengthy sections. I believe the chapter was just about 20 pages long, maybe less than that. And I took out the parts that I thought we really should focus on for this live. And I'm just going to encourage you to read it and take the scriptures that you read from this back to God and see what He reveals to you for your own life. So the first major out of control boundary that they mentioned is food. And if you're watching this and you live in America, specifically Northern America or North America, you already know that the obesity rate is obnoxious. It is, I believe, if my statistics are still right, that heart disease is still the #1 killer of people in the United States. And it is because of this right here. Food is a big issue that people don't set up proper boundaries with. And a lot of it is due to social gatherings, because a lot of times we feel like, oh, it's something to do while we're talking to someone and you're not paying attention to it, or it's a way for you to overcome stress, or it's just something that has run in your life. Hey, sweetheart, I hope you're having a great day. And I've been meaning to text you. So I'm going to remind myself that right now to text you once I get off this live. So with food, it affects your moods, it affects your relationships, and it affects your self-confidence. And this is not a section that they're picking on anybody in particular, but they're just bringing to life a harsh truth. And a lot of times here, people that are overweight, if you don't pay attention to it or you don't think that there's an issue with it, people around you can see. Just like if you don't want to eat, people can see around you that, hey, something's not right. You need to take care of yourself. Food can be distorted either way. And like I said, it can affect your moods, because if you're eating things that are high in fat, high in all these preservatives that have just been stuffed to maintain shelf life, it can definitely have negative effects. And a lot of the things that you see now, and it's probably perfect timing, but I saw a post, someone had the contents were listed on the back of different products, and it was about over 60 to 65 different products where it said bioengineered, things were bioengineered. So start paying attention to the things you guys eat, because you don't know what bioengineered technically means or what it contains, and it can have these negative effects on you. It says it can affect your relationships with people, your self-confidence can diminish, or it can, increase if you're eating healthier. So it can go either way. And if you're one of those nighttime closet eaters, that, I did well during the day, but then now I'm going to snack and eat all my cookies because no one's watching. No one may be watching you in the moment, but it's going to show in the morning. So just be cautious with that. The next topic that they talked about that people have issues with their own boundaries is money. Money is a huge, huge, huge problem for so many. It's why their debt rate is so high. It's why people have so many different credit cards. There is just a lot that's attached here. And the list that they gave here, it's because of impulse spending. And I will say that is me. I have always had an issue with impulse spending, because it was just one of those, oh, I have it here and I need to have it now. And I've been learning to break that cycle that you don't need this. Like, when are you actually going to use it that you need to buy this right now? I have done so much cleaning where it's like, why did I even buy this? There's no reason for me to have it. There's no reason why I spent the money on that. I could have used it on something I did need. So that's something that the Lord keeps bringing to my attention, even to this day. Careless budgeting, living beyond one's means, and that's a big one that we're going to talk about later. Credit problems, chronically borrowing from friends, ineffectual or non-existent savings plans, working overtime or multiple jobs to pay all the bills, repeatedly bailing out others who make irresponsible financial choices. And from here, there was two main scriptures that they mentioned that I want to highlight. And it says here, you know, God intended for money to be a blessing to us and others, because in Luke chapter 6, verse 38, it says, given it will be given to you. But then again, it comes out and it says that money isn't our problem. It's the love of money that is the root of all evil. And that comes from 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 10. Now, you know, it's not to say that you can't go and get yourself something nice every now and then, but the whole idea is that you're creating a decent budget, or I want to use a better word than decent, but you create a strict budget where you know these are the bills that occur, these are the things I know I need to take care of, and from there, then this is what I have left over and I need to stick with it. But I am going to say this while it's coming across my spirit. I don't have the particular scripture. I just know that it's in Malachi, and it talks about tithing. And a lot of times people think that, you know, why do I need to give God the first 10% of my earnings? Well, it's written in scripture time and time again about money, about fruit, about everything, that the first 10% goes to God. It is better to have 90% with his blessing than 100% without. Oh my gosh, sorry guys, I look like I put my finger in the socket. I should have did that. But I will encourage you, if you've never tithed before, take it back to God, ask him to show you the revelation of it, and ask him, you know, to help it become a norm for you so that you can start learning to budget according to the blessings he's given you. And he always finds a way to somehow give you back that 10% or increase that 10% you gave. So that's just one thing. A lot of times, and especially in today's day and age, and I have said it many times too, you know, the cost of living is very high. We know that, you know, right now the housing market, it's, you know, who in God's green earth is really buying, you know, as I'll just say two teachers, let's say husband and wife are teachers. How are they off of, let's say that they each make 50 grand a year. Let's just say they're starter teachers. How are they going to afford this house that's cost $700,000? Like, who wants to be on a mortgage payment for all those years? It's just, we know that the cost of living is high. However, if we are not living within our means, it's the cost of high living. And I'm speaking specifically to the people that are irresponsible with their finances, where they're just, you know what, I got paid, I paid this, but I'm going to go and I'm going to go on a shopping spree because I'm going to go hang out over here. And every single night I don't feel like cooking. I'm going to go buy breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I'm going to go to all these expensive restaurants just so that I have the beautiful stories on my Instagram, my Snapchat, my YouTube, my TikTok, all those social media. So a lot of it just becomes, it's a thing for you to show off that this is what I'm doing, but you don't know, or people don't know that you're up to here in debt because you keep swiping that card. So that was what came to mind when I read that. And I think a lot of people are going to feel convicted when they hear that word, because it's a lot of us. And I'll say that I have been guilty of it too. And I'm learning that, you know, there's a price to it. And it talks about that later on in the book. So the next thing that was mentioned that we ourselves have boundary issues with is time. And this is, I'm going to say right now, this whole section convicted me because I have an issue with being on time. I have an issue with time is always, I feel like time is always against me. But I do use the excuse that, oh, my kids, or, I had this was going on. And it's true that, yes, I do have that going on, but I have to learn to develop that muscle that, you know what, just, this is going to happen. It happens every single day. Wake up earlier, go to bed earlier. And sometimes it's hard because my kids are in that stage where they don't want to go to bed when they're supposed to. And it's driving me crazy, but I have to learn to be more responsible and set the boundary with my time. And right now, to be completely transparent, my issue is that I have been making too much time to watch the show Suits. I really like it, guys. I really, really, really like it. And the next thing I know, I'm like, oh my gosh, how much time has passed and I need to go and do X, Y, and Z. So I haven't been scheduling my time appropriately. And that's something where it talks about here that some of the time binds these strugglers deal with are showing up unprepared for business meetings, being on time for lunch appointments, meeting project deadlines, consistently attending churches and school activities, paying bills on time. Like, these are the things that we just start finding ourselves being late to because we are not setting those boundaries with ourselves. But when we tell somebody, hey, you need to be here at such and such time, we're holding them to the standard. But yet when it comes to us holding ourselves to that same standard, we want to give ourselves leeway. And it's trying to say that we need to self-check on that. Let's see. There was... I'll let you guys read that because I'm going to move on. The next thing was task completion. And this one is a huge one for myself as well, because I am notorious. This has been a big struggle for me for many, many, many years. And it's gotten harder because I have children that require a lot of my time. And I haven't been realistic with my approach to task completion. And here it talks about a lot of times if you're one of those people where your to-do lists are very, very long, that you're not being realistic with what is it that you can actually accomplish in this time frame. I have been like, oh, you know what? As soon as I drop off the kids between this hour, I'm going to be able to do these 10 things, knowing that I might only get 2 done. But every day it's like, it's an issue. It's this issue with wanting to remain busy, but busy doing nothing. And when you really try to focus on, okay, what is the most important thing? Where's my list of priorities? Let me focus on the first thing and just set realistic time or deadlines to get them accomplished. From here, they said, the problem with many poor finishers lies in one of the following: resistance to structure, fear of success, lack of follow through, distractibility, inability to delay gratification, inability to say no to other pressures. It was just 6. And I found that I was, at least out of 6 of them, at least half of them applied to me. And I have an issue with the follow through because I do try to do too much in too little time. I get easily distracted, hence why I'm still binge watching Suits. And the inability to say no to other pressures. Guys, I'm telling you, every single day I get asked to do something for a family member or a friend, or hey, can you do this because I have such and such time and you're the closest person too. And I have that part of me where it's like, oh, let me just do it because it's for family. I have a really bad habit of doing that. And I have to learn that I need to learn to say no when it's like, hey, this is actually something you need to figure out or you need to get done. You go ahead and start learning to take the time to do it. And that's mentioned a little later too. Another thing that it talked about is with boundaries in ourselves, is words. And words, guys, I felt like this one was just giving me a papao because I can talk in circles all day if you let me. I have to learn that, hey, you have to be quiet. Like on my laptop, I have I have a Post-it note that tells me like focus, because I know that when I get on these lives, I can get easily distracted. And our words, it talked about here, like setting a net, like guys, like let's go. And I've actually experienced a time where I was the one hosting the meeting, and one of the other athletic trainers was like doing this to me, like, come on, let's go. And it was like, oh, but I thought you loved me. I thought you liked me. Like, what am I saying that's wrong? And it made sense because I was taking too long to get to the point. And I think a lot of us can either find ourselves in those situations if we're trying to keep people from being able to say something that could reveal to us something about ourselves that we're not ready to face. Or it's just, where was it that it talked about? Sorry, okay. Or it was, okay. So let me say this. How we use language can deeply affect the quality of our relationship. So depending on the relationship that is in front of you, you may want to always be the talker, or you are just finding ways to, like I said, not talk about the things that are an issue with yourself. So it says here, words can be used as a source of both blessing and cursing. That comes from James chapter 3, verses 9 through 10. And it says they can be a blessing when we use them to empathize, identify, encourage, confront, and exhort others. They can be a curse when we use them to do the following: hide from intimacy by talking nonstop, dominate conversations to control others, gossip, make sarcastic remarks expressing indirect hostility, threaten someone expressing direct hostility, gain approval through flattery, give the silent treatment, so withholding words to punish someone, massage the truth in order to look better, seduce or manipulate. And it's funny that they mention such a wide range of different things here, because like the one that just keeps coming up, because there's a particular person that keeps coming to mind right now, and I know that I'm going to have a conversation with them about the constant sarcastic remarks that they make, and that it's a direct reflection of them trying to get the spotlight off of them. But it's like the more that they criticize others, the more that I'm looking at them like, the issue is you. And somebody needs to tell you, because it's apparent that no one's saying anything to you. And it's not that I want to give you a tongue lashing, but rather that I'm trying to get you to see that you have to stop talking badly about others, because I'm seeing that it's a reflection of how you see yourself. And I want to be able to pour love into that person. So, but then some people, they constantly use words to get people to like them. And you don't have to do that. Jesus didn't walk around saying things to get people to like him. He walked around so he can save people and express his love. So we don't have to feel like other people have to accept us. Jesus was criticized, Jesus was mocked, and when we're following him, we can expect the same to come our way. So you don't have to say anything to be pleasing to others. It mentioned here, there was a paragraph I was supposed to read. Here it is. The scriptures tell us to treat our words carefully. Talking too much leads to sin. Be sensible to keep your mouth shut. That comes from Proverbs 10, chapter 10, verse 19. I am tongue-tied today, guys, so I apologize. The one who has knowledge uses words with restraint. That comes from Proverbs chapter 17, verse 27. And I feel like there was one more. No. But then there's another thing here that says, when we can't hold back or set boundaries on what comes from our lips, our words are in charge, not us. And then that directly says that when you start saying things and then you say, oh, wait, I didn't mean that. That's actually exactly what you meant, because out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So if you you have to just be cautious of your words, because in here, the warning is from Matthew chapter 12, verse 36, that there's going to come a day, judgment day, where we're going to have to take account for everything that we have said. So let that sit on your spirit. So in case you need to find a place to come to repentance. So Matthew chapter 12, verse 36. It also talked about sexuality and substance abuse. And a lot of times those two kind of coincide. So obviously we know that sex is supposed to take place between the husband and the wife. in marriage. It's not something that we're supposed to use as a pastime or just to enjoy ourselves all free, whatever. Like, yes, we have free will, but the intention is not for us to enjoy it with everybody. It's to enjoy it with our significant other. Substance abuse, people use substances to get away from harsh realities instead of finding appropriate mechanisms to get over whatever it is that they're trying to suppress. Then it talked about here, the section is called Why Doesn't My No Work? And the 3 things that they mention is we are our own worst enemy. And then I know so many of us have heard that saying, but when you think about the boundaries and yourself, like I said earlier, that it's easier to tell somebody else like, this is no, you need to do this, or hey, meet me at this time, but then we don't hold ourselves accountable to the same standard. And that's perfect right here. We are our own worst enemy. And a lot of times, an external problem is easier to deal with than an internal one. It is always easier for us to tell everybody else what is wrong with themselves, but when we hold up the mirror to ourselves, we want to push it away because we don't like what we see, but we want to hold that same mirror to someone else. There's a saying, it's an old saying that says, don't throw rocks at someone else's house when yours is made of glass. It's the same thing here. The second one, that reason why our no's don't work is because we withdraw from relationship when we need it the most. So it could be because of shame, or because you are trying to figure out or do things the way that have always been taught in your family. And when you realize that, hey, this, I can't, I need to get over whatever issue it is with me creating this boundary. You know, I don't want to be around anyone right now because I don't want anybody else telling me something about it, because I'm going to continue doing it and I don't want any feedback from anyone else. This one, it gave the example of the eating disorder. So if any of you have ever had an eating disorder or know someone with it, you know that they like to withdraw because they don't want you putting your finger in on their wound. And it's the same thing with us. The third one was we try to use willpower to solve our boundary problems. And the problem with just doing things in your own willpower is that you will fail. It's not going to last long because you turn your willpower into an idol. And God is very strict about having any idols, about putting ourself over him or a golden calf or a zodiac sign or whatever. And then we're going to talk about idolatry in the next few weeks. But your willpower is not going to sustain you. The foundation is not firm. It is like trying to build on sand. It will start caving because you don't have a solid substance to hold you up, which is God. And there was something else I felt like he wanted me to say. Or maybe that was it. Okay, yeah, the truth is willpower alone is useless against self-boundary struggles. Yeah, because then it kind of went into it there. So there's a lot of ways that we can establish boundaries for ourselves. And, you know, this dives into it. And the things that I mainly wanted to talk about were that if you're having a hard time trying to realize that, hey, I've got to get these boundaries situated for myself, and you have come to a place where you need help, because we all need help. You obviously want to be cautious of who you receive the help from. And you want to make sure that they're going to lead you in a path that's going to take you up and not push you further down. So when you, and I'm going to speak specifically about having good counsel around you. I know not everybody believes, but I'm coming from a place of I don't take any words from anybody without testing their spirit first, which makes sense why God wanted me to start Bible study talking about the fruit of the Spirit. So we know this is what God's Spirit is. And if a person isn't carrying it, we're not going to focus on what it is that they're saying, because it's not godly wisdom. It's not backed by His Spirit. So I'm going to start by saying that when you do find a surrounding of people who can help you, you want them to listen. You want to listen to empathetic. Help me, Jesus. Listen to empathetic feedback from others. So as you fail in setting your boundaries on yourself, you need others who will let you know about it in a caring way. If we are surrounded by people who just continue to applaud us and keep us where we are, we're never going to improve. You need to hear the words from others when you're in the wrong or when you need help, because you know that, look, hey, I know you, I love you, I care about you, and this is what I'm seeing, and I'm going to give you some suggestions and go from there. So listen to the Spirit when they're talking to you, because you don't want somebody that's just going to shut you down and rush you to get to the point. Unless you're talking in circles, but that's another thing. So then it talks about welcome consequences as your teacher. So let's just say for me, if I'm constantly shopping, and I get to a point where I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't pay my car note, I can't pay my mortgage, I can't pay this, I can't pay that. I need somebody to bail me out. But yet I've got the nicest looking closet with all the best clothes, best shoes, best jewelry, best this, best that. And why, if somebody is like, you know what, Jess, I can't help you because you just spent all your money on things that you don't need instead of focusing on what you need to take care of. So if somebody tells you no and now you miss a bill or whatever the case is, use it as a teacher to those consequences that come from you not doing things the way you should have done. Like I mentioned before, surround yourself with people who are loving and supportive. And by loving and supportive, it doesn't mean that they're always, like I said, that they're always going to agree with you, but they are going to agree to show you that, hey, this is the issue and this is a better way of approaching it, or how do you feel about looking at it from my perspective, because your way obviously isn't working. So I want to see you get past this, but instead of you running in circles doing the same thing, how about you take a step out and you try something else that has proven results. So make sure that you're surrounded by people like that. Here it says, generally speaking, friends of people with self-boundary problems make one of two errors. They become critical and parental. So I'm going to say I used to be one of these people where I was so judgmental, guys. Like if any of you know, like the most embarrassing thing about yourself is seeing things that you posted about 10 years ago. And some of the things that I posted, it was like, girl, why? What possessed you to say that? What spirit actually possessed you to say that? Because why are you being so judgmental to this person? And, I was very critical and seeing the fault in everyone for everything they said or did or even thought. And it was just coming from an ugly place. And a lot of it is because that was the way that I felt about myself, that I was very harsh and judgmental here. So when you are trying to help people with self-boundary problems, don't come off of them as another parent or very judgmental or harsh, because what is that going to do? It's just highlighting now that, hey, you've got a boundary problem that we need to address as well. And then again, that they become rescuers. So if somebody's making bad decisions, you can't rescue them all the time. They have to learn, or else they're never going to learn. Then here, the last section that it talked about is boundaries in yourself, is if you are a victim. And this is speaking specifically about people whose boundaries were stepped over, completely disregarded from early childhood because of, it could have been because of molestation. It could have been verbal abuse, physical abuse. Like, just your boundaries were nothing. And that's something that you have learned over time because you were actually a victim. And it's not to say that you have to stay stuck in that hurt or trauma, because that's the lie that the enemy wants you to believe, is that you are everything that you said and experienced, or what that was said to you or that you experienced at that time, and that you're supposed to carry that weight and that shame and whatever guilt that the enemy tells you that is over your life. A lot of things that come from this: depression, compulsive disorders, impulsive disorders, isolation, inability to trust others, inability to form close attachments, inability to set limits, poor judgment in relationships, and the list goes on, guys. Chaotic lifestyle is listed here, phobias, rage attacks, suicidal feelings and thoughts. With something like this, and I can't speak of a place of knowing because I've never experienced this type of victimization. I have had issues with physical violence before in the past, but sexual abuse here is like the main thing that they talk about here. This is something that you're going to have to open up about. You're going to have to find a safe space, and you're going to have to give it to God. And I will say the hardest thing to do is to forgive somebody that hurt you, knowing that what they were doing to you. But forgiveness has to be a component to your healing, but you're going to need professional help. That way you can establish better boundaries, because a lot of times, from what I've seen and from what I've read, people who have gone through that type of abuse, they don't know how to set boundaries in other relationships, because they feel like, you know what, this person's only going to love me if I have sex with them 5 times a day. They're only going to love me if, you know, when they're mad, they use me as a punching bag, or they're only going to love me if I hear the wrath, that they're just going to yell at me until I give in to, you know, I submit to whatever it is they want. You have to learn healthy boundaries. And it's definitely something that you want to have professional help to, because you need boundaries the most. You need to come to a place of healing and forgiveness so that you can get rid of that, so that you can start walking with better boundaries, because my heart is just heavy on that topic, because I feel like I'm speaking to someone when I say that. Just find the help that you need. It's available, and the help that is always available is God. Jesus is always there. He's listening, and he can help you. So just, if you haven't, give yourself to him and let him lead. I promise you, he's the only one that will never lead you astray. So that's the end of chapter 13. Next week, we will start with chapter 14, and that one is about boundaries and God. And I think that's going to be a great one for us to review. Tuesday, we're going to be going over Bible study again. We're going to now go over the 8th fruit of the Spirit. There's only 9, guys. So after this upcoming Tuesday, then we've got the 9th spirit. And then after that is our idolatry devotional, which I am still writing. And I think that one, it's going to be a huge eye-opener for many. A lot of hearts are going to be broken. A lot of people are going to feel, in the nicest way, if you have done any of the things that we're talking about in idolatry, if you have any spirits living in you because you've been participating in fake religions, rituals, things like that, whatever demons inside of you, I'm going to press in on that button, that wound, because it's time to get them out, because too many people are being led astray in this hour, in the last days. And God doesn't want anybody to perish. So I am going to completely talk about the harsh realities of things that a lot of us have been partaking in, that are witchcraft, that are not of God, that are just in the way of us having a life of abundance and actually following the one true God, which is Jesus Christ of Nazareth. So guys, I love you. God bless you. I hope you have a wonderful Friday. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week for Bible study. So have a blessed day, guys. Take care and have a great day.